CC, yeah. I'd say that, yeah, text 71 is actually where I remember reading about how he stopped the dancing for the time being when everybody came, so text 71 it's right on.
Okay. And do you usually sing, what do you sing before?
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, and then you read, and you can comment as you like, and read as much as you like. There's not a, like a, until 7:15.
Jai Jai. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. First, before, just wanted to thank everyone for this opportunity to read from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and have your association here in New Goloka Dham. Right? Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So, continuing the reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 25, the residents of Varanasi become Vaishnavas. So, already Mahaprabhu has been performing Sankirtan. And it's interesting, just in the previous text 64, we again hear Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. That during their kirtan, they chanted this mantra. Anyway, maybe we'll get to that. Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'll start from text 71. I was told that that was the best place to start from. The previous text, translation is, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained his external consciousness, he saw that many Mayavadi sannyasis and other people were gathered there. He therefore suspended his dancing for the time being. Okay, so text 71. So what is this? I'll read the Bengali and but we don't chant, no, just read it. Okay. Prakashanandira Prabhu Vandita Charan Prakashananda Hashi Tara Dharila Charan. After stopping the kirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a great example of humility, offered prayers unto the feet of Prakashananda Saraswati At this, Prakashananda Saraswati immediately came forward and clasped the Lord's lotus feet. Text 72. Prabhu kahe, tumi jagat guru bhujyatama, ami tomar nahi shishyera shishya sama. When Prakashananda Saraswati caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet, the Lord said, "My dear sir, you are the spiritual master of the whole world. Therefore, you are the most worshipable. As far as I am concerned, I am not even on the level of the disciple of your disciple." Purport. Mayavadi sannyasis generally call themselves Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the whole world. Many consider themselves worshipable by everyone, although they do not even go outside India or their own district. So they call themselves Jagat Guru, the gurus of the whole universe, but they won't even leave their own local place. It reminds me of just difference between our society, our understanding of, I've heard this term, Smarta Vichar and Goswami Vichar. That there is Vichara in Sanskrit means outlook or perspective. Is that right? Behavior, yes, okay, behavior, Vichar. So the Goswamis, their behavior, their outlook, their perspective, their world view, compared to the Smarta worldview, can be summed up in the Yukta Vairagya principle of using everything for Krishna's service. Now, from the Smarta Vichar, from the Smarta perspective, there's so many rules. Not only for the Mayavadis, I learned, we were in Udupi just, a year ago or so, and we learned that the current Pariyaya, the head of one of there's 8 mutts that serve Sri Krishna there in rotation, and that each rotation is called a Pariyaya, something like that. So the current head of the mutt is not allowed to do the puja because he crossed the ocean. He left Bharat. He crossed the ocean. And therefore his junior, he does all the services that normally would be done by the head of the mutt. We're very fortunate that we do not, we're not in a society that is so, well, we're not in the line. It's not simply our society, we're not in the line that adheres to the rules in such a way. It was interesting that in the devotee who is, I can't remember the name of the devotee who's now the Pariyaya, whatever. But my godbrother told me that they had some discussion, and he was saying that you have to make a point, that why did you do this? You did it in the same way that Bhaktivedanta Swami did it. You crossed the ocean to preach. That I should say, surpasses any other consideration. But for the Mayavadis, it's different. Out of his great magnanimity and humility, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented himself as a subordinate disciple of Prakashananda Saraswati. Text 73. Shreshta hana kene kora hinera bandhan amara sarva nashahoy tumi brahma sama. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, you are a great spiritually advanced personality, and therefore you cannot worship a person like me. I am far inferior. If you do so, my spiritual power will be diminished, for you are as good as the impersonal Brahman. Now, I can't help reading these verses and thinking of, is he being sarcastic? Is Mahaprabhu actually, does he mean what he's saying, or is he simply using words to... I would have to say that's what, if I were saying these things, I would be like, this is all sarcastic talk. But that's not Mahaprabhu's mood. He's sincerely speaking in this way, but bringing things to the point. We see this in various interactions that Mahaprabhu had with devotees or personalities who would be socially superior. We find it in his interaction with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. We find it in his interaction even with the Chandkazi, although with Chandkazi he was actually quite angry initially. But then in their interaction, he was respectful, and he introduced, he submitted himself, he presented himself very humbly. So this verse prior to this, in the purport, out of his great magnanimity and humility, so not out of some sort of sarcastic mood, but actually out of humility. This is, I have to say that maybe many of you find this as a challenge, but I find it such a challenge to understand how our acharyas present themselves as lower than the straw on the street, as what is it here? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, what is it? Muri Tapapicha, he presents himself as like a worm, lower than a worm. And Prabhupada makes a point, this is not a false thing. This is not, he actually feels this way. He truly actually feels this. So it's sort of, there's some progression, it seems, for us, that we begin to feel more and more humble as we realize more and more our actual position. And here, any of you can speak up now to add to this. Ramalama, Prabhu.
Recently when I was at a seminar with Prabhupada Swami, he was saying that the worms, they're eating debris, and they're eating stool, they're eating debris, they're eating carcasses, and they're forming fertile earth. They're actually fertilizing the earth and creating the whole basis of the whole biosystem.
So it's really an elevated position.
That's actually very elevated, because most of us, all we do is pollute. We don't actually purify.
Yeah. Yes. The jiva is the same, but the position is. That's another way to look at it. But there, humility. The other day I was reading, I just saw it, it was like one of these posters or something. That Prabhupada saying that humility is, the symptom of humility is that you don't desire any honor for yourself. You have no desire. And that, I mean, if we look at ourselves, at least I look at myself, and I think how often, even sitting right here, look at me. I'm looking and thinking, how can I speak in such a way that people will think, oh, he's a good speaker, or he's a good. I'm an actor, so especially that makes it difficult, because acting means that you want to get up on stage and you want to impress everyone and you want everyone to look at you and say, hey, look at how he can act. It's tough. Or singing, if you have a good voice. I sometimes I think, well, I'm singing, I'm chanting and so on, but how much of it is because I like to hear the sound of my own voice? Yes, Prabhu. Yes, yes, yes. But we're not just but the mood of these devotees is not only that they're insignificant, they're more insignificant than anyone else. So it's this sense of, yes, I'm insignificant. Okay, but you're also insignificant. We're all insignificant. We're all in the same boat, and maybe I'm just a little bit, less insignificant than you. This sense of being lesser, lower, to the lowest. There's no, we sing this prayer. Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma Vina Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tomar Avatar Mo Samo Patita Prabhu Napai Bayar. You won't find anyone else. You will not find anyone more fallen than me. I'm the most fallen. But the other prayer, to Tribhuvane, how does it go? Sri Krishna, Goranga Karuna, Goranga Karuna Koro, Dina Hina Jane, Mo Samo Patita Prabhu, Nahi Tribhuvane. Yes, Ramala Prabhu.
One time a devotee stood up to ask Prabhupada a question and starts off with saying, Srila Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen.
You're not the most anything. Yeah. So then that comes into a trap. Oh yes, I'm the most fallen. As if it's a badge to be worn. But there's a state, and this is, as I said, I started off saying that I don't understand this. I can't feel it. I can pretend to feel it. I'm an actor, so I know how to pretend things, how to, put on a show. And I can pretend to think, oh, I'm the most fallen. But to actually feel that, yes, Neelambari.
Maybe what's being pointed out is that putting any attention on yourself at all is kind of an antithesis to the loving exchange. Just like if it's someone's birthday and you get them a present, but it's like think
Yeah.
about your service. Just think about the service, not that it's you who's doing that service.
So I will say that I have begun to maybe understand a little, because this was explained by, I think, Burijan Prabhu, that as you make progress in spiritual life, the distance between where you are and where your perfect, pure state becomes more and more obvious. So, like when I don't know, Urmila and others here, when we joined, we thought, okay, hey, in 10 years we're going to be pure devotees. We're gonna really, it'll all be. And Prabhupada would speak like that. He'd say, you'd chant Hare Krishna, and you're immediately you're going to become pure, and so that mood of immediacy that it's coming. It's and initially there's this burst of progress, and then things to start to show your nature starts to become more and more evident. And actually it's a sign of our progress, is that we see more and more how far we have to go. So then you start to feel, hey, I am lower, I am fallen, I am more, and you look around, and I'm not there. I'm not saying that I'm in this position, but I can begin to see how a devotee could could experience this sincere humility where he sees everyone as more advanced than he is. So here we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seeing a Mayavadi sannyasi from this perspective. So let's continue, because we have, okay, but Prakashananda, he responds. Well, first, Mahaprabhu says something more. Because there is also an etiquette here. This is Mahaprabhu speaking also not only from a position of actual humility, but also in respect of the etiquette of a junior to a senior, because he's now going to say something a little critical. Yadyapi tomare sabha brahma samabhashe loka shiksha lagi aiche korite na aishe. So now Mahaprabhu's tone changes a little bit. He says, my dear sir, for you, everyone is on the level of impersonal Brahman. Brahmasama is the word here. But for the enlightenment of people in general, you should not behave in that way. So, this is an interesting, I'm not quite sure what Mahaprabhu is trying to say. He said, the Bengali here says, this is what, anyone can correct me here, but my understanding here is that it's just like the preacher who sees everyone as a devotee, the Uttama Adhikari, who sees everyone as a devotee of Krishna, but in order to preach, he makes discrimination. So that's, I believe, what Mahaprabhu is trying to say here. But why he's saying it, I don't know. Anyone have any other? Anyway, he says this. And Prakashananda replies. So maybe we'll find more information here. Teho kahe. So Prakashananda, now he's replying. Teho kahe, tomara purve ninda aparada je korila, tomara charana sparshe sab chaya ghela. Prakashananda Saraswati replied, formerly I committed many offenses against you by blaspheming you, but now the effects of my offenses are counteracted by my touching your lotus feet. So you heard, I guess, in previous readings about how Prakashananda Saraswati and the Mayavadi sannyasis were so critical of Mahaprabhu and his behavior. Jivan mukta api punar, this is where this is from, it's in Sanskrit. Jivan mukta api punar yanti sangsara vashanam yadyachintya mahashaktavo bhagavatya paradinaha. It doesn't say where this verse is from. If a person considered liberated in this life commits offenses against the reservoir of inconceivable potencies, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he will again fall down and desire the material atmosphere for material enjoyment. Okay, so that it gives here, I think. Savai Bhagavata Srimad Pada Sparsha Hatashubhaha Veje Sarpa Vapurhitva Rupam Didyadhararchitam. Translation. Being touched by the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, that serpent was immediately freed from the reactions of his sinful life. Thus the serpent gave up his body and assumed the body of a beautiful Vidyadhara demigod. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:34-9. So perhaps the previous verse is also... Oh, the previous verse is from Bhakti Sandarbha. Oh. And what does that mean? But Prakashananda's quoting could not have been quoting Bhakti Sandarbha. He's yeah, but in the Bhakti Sandarbha, it may say where it comes from, because Prakashananda Saraswati is quoting this verse. Such a transformation of Prakashananda. He was Mayavadi, critical, and now he's totally transformed. And all those verses from Bhagavata, because the Mayavadis, they do read and study the Puranas and of course Vedanta particularly, but they read everything and they interpret it in their own way. But now those same verses are being used by Prakashananda to glorify Mahaprabhu. So here Srila Prabhupada describes, this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:34-9. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, under the leadership of Nanda Maharaj, once went to the bank of the Saraswati on a pilgrimage. Nanda Maharaj was fasting, and he lay down near the forest. At that time, a serpent, who was formerly cursed by Angirasa Rishi, appeared. The serpent had formerly been named Sudarshan, and he had belonged to the Gandharva Loka planet. However, because he joked with the Rishi, he was condemned to take on the body of a big snake. When this serpent attacked Nanda Maharaj began to call, "Krishna, help!" Krishna immediately appeared and began to kick the serpent with his lotus feet. due to being touched by the Lord's lotus feet, the serpent was immediately freed from the reactions of his sinful life. Being freed, he again assumed his original form of Sudarshana Gandharva. This reminds me of Chaitanya's pastime with the crocodile. So, how many of you have come on Navadip Mandal Parikrama? Just a few, yeah. So my service, I told you I'm an actor, so that's my service on the Parikrama. And we performed this drama of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going to the village of Garigacha. It is now known as Gordaha, the Lake of Gaur. And there, on Sankirtan, they go in great jubilation. The old story is told, I believe, in Navadi Bhava Taranga. I'm not sure. Anyways, it is, who is it? It's told by one of Mahaprabhu's devotees. And they're going in Sankirtan, and they're going to this village of cowherds. And they meet Bhim Gopa, and they meet these different cowherd boys and cowherd men, who and the ladies who are all ululating. They offer so many sweets and dai and so on. And they're about to go to the lake, and I think it's Ramdas Gopa. He comes forward and says, no, 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 you can't go there. Our cows go there. And the Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes all this and says, they go, hi, 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 hi. They won't approach it because there's a great crocodile living in the lake. And of course they do approach. And Mahaprabhu goes, and the crocodile comes out. And just like this snake, although this snake didn't make his own effort, so there's a little difference. This particular snake does not appear to have made an effort to approach Krishna. But Krishna, he puts his feet on the snake, and the snake regains his original form. But in this, with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the crocodile actually comes forward. He recognizes that here he is, my Savior. And he approaches, he touches the feet of Mahaprabhu and transforms into a Deva Shishu. So now this was what happened with him. He was not a Gandharva, he was a little kid, heavenly kid. And very naughty, and the Muni here was it Angirasa? So I don't know much about Angirasa, but who's a Muni that you wouldn't want to offend? Durvasa. Durvasa. Don't get on his wrong side. So somehow this little kid didn't know much about Durvasa. And he had the audacity, while Durvasa was sitting in meditation, to come up and cut his hair. Now, he cut his hair. Tick, 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 tick. And you can imagine what happened to that little kid. When Durvasa saw what he'd done, he cursed him immediately. You like to cut, you become a crocodile. But the kid was, he had some remorse, and he begged, please, do something. I know I have to become a crocodile, but how will I be saved? And so Durvasa had a little, he was a kid anyways. So he said, yes, you will be a crocodile, but when Krishna appears at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you will be saved. Now, one interesting thing about this particular pastime, and I would, it doesn't say here, perhaps in the Bhagavatam it elaborates, that the Devashishu, after being freed of his curse, he didn't stay. He asked can I go home now? And he went back to the heavenly planets. Now here the Gandharvas, this Gandharva, goes home, I imagine. The Nalakuvera and Manigriva, when they're freed of their curse, they don't get to stay in Vrindavan. They have to go home. Even Kaliya, who became a great devotee, he couldn't stay in Vrindavan. He had to leave. Now I remember Madhavananda Prabhu gave like a 5 series of talks about Kaliya at one festival we were at. And this was his question: why did Kaliya have to leave Vrindavan? He offered some possibilities. The one that I remember is that Kaliya left Vrindavan to preach Krishna consciousness. He went wherever. Some say that he went to Fiji, that was his home. We went to Fiji last year, and but we didn't go try to find Kaliya. We were told that you try to do that and you may not come back, or you come back in a crazy state of mind. Anyone? No. But we can think that Kali is there preaching to all the snakes about Krishna. So Manigriva and Nalakuvera, perhaps they also went back to tell about Krishna. And maybe this Gandharva did so too. Anyone have any further information on the destination of these? I just find it interesting that these cursed devotees, they get freed, but they don't get to stay. On the other hand, Jagai and Madhya, they got to stay. They were not sent away, although they had been such great offenders, but they had not offended the Brahmins. In some way, they had not crossed a particular line. I don't remember all the details, but they thus were enabled to get the full mercy of Mahaprabhu and remain in his service in Navadvip. So, yes.
I did hear somewhere that Nalakuvera and Manigriva stayed in Vrindavan as bards and would tell stories about Krishna.
Did you?
But I don't have a reference for that.
Well, okay. This is
I don't remember who told me that.
in Gopal Champu. They did stay in Vrindavan. All right, well, here's a homework. And then find out why. So we'll read one more verse, and then if there's any more comments. Because now, okay, so when Prakashananda, okay, here. Prabhu kahe. Here. Prabhu kahe, Vishnu, Vishnu. Ami kudra jivahin. Jive Vishnu mani e aparara chin. So, when Prakashananda Saraswati supported himself by quoting the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately protested by uttering the holy name of Lord Vishnu. The Lord then presented himself as a most fallen living entity, and he said, if anyone accepts a fallen conditioned soul as Vishnu, Bhagavan, or an incarnation, he commits a great offense. Purport. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to teach us a lesson, he nonetheless denied belonging to the Vishnu category. Unfortunately, there are many so-called Vishnu incarnations in this age of Kali. People do not know that posing oneself as an incarnation is most offensive. People should not accept an ordinary man as an incarnation of God, for this also is a very great offense. So Prakashananda is comparing Mahaprabhu. He's quoting these verses in order to say that I committed many offenses against you. Now the effects are counteracted by touching your lotus feet. And he then quotes verses that indicate that he sees Mahaprabhu as Bhagavan. And Mahaprabhu responds, no. Now, of course, Mahaprabhu did sometimes reveal himself, but here, no. All right. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
They weren't the bards, but Nanda Maharaj thinks that Snigvikanta and the two bards, their names is
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Andaniya Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. 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 Govindam Adipurusham.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskachadi Satarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bracharine Sunyavadi Vaskachade Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Kananda, Kananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, 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 Jaya Giri. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhu, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jayom Vishnupad Paramhansa Pavrichari Saterasada Shishima Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Kabhagavana Shai Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Gaurana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai, Bhakti Devi Ki. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Priyat Mridanga Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Garanga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you, Gopi, for dressing Shri Shri Radha Golokananda so ecstatically effulgent today. And Harinam Sankirtan, 5 o'clock at the 5 Points in Durham. It's going to be a nice day. Please come. Chaitodarpanam Arjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyuvadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakaring Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amrita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari nadanam najanam na sundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye mamajam ecstatic. Noitaki Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavandrida Vibhayatavabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajachim Vachintaya Nayanam Gadashu Daraya Varanam Gad Gadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Nimishena Chakshusha Bhavishayatam Shurvam Govindam Virahena Me Ashlit Mam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatava Vidadatu Lampato Mat Prananatas Sa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, in all your transcendental energies, hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily... But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Oh, my Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Oh, Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I've fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death. Atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shastika Ki Jai. Thank you, Gopi, for addressing the deity so beautifully. It's always nice on Saturdays to see them in their ecstatic yellow outfits.